Welcome back. And for our newspaper headlines this morning, we'll be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. And on the Vanguard, we have Iran votes to close Strait of Hormuz after U.S. strikes on nuclear facilities. That is on page 5. Insecurity. Tinubu orders action on insurgents, plateau killings. That is it for the Vanguard newspaper. And now on to the Daily Trust. Plateau killings, death toll hits 13 as survivors narrate ordeal. Victims buried in Mangu, Koan Pan. Alright, and that is all we have on the Daily Trust newspaper. And now moving on to the Daily Times. Group faults Gowon's action of 1967 Aburi Accord failure. Inec can't stop our 100th Nec meeting, says PDP. That is on page 7. We have buying babies, the ethical storm around surrogacy and women's bodies. Constitution review. Senate holds public hearing July 4 and 5 in geopolitical zones. How gunmen kidnapped state judge E.G. Umokoro in Bayelsa. Eyewitness. Railway vandals jailed 3 years with hard labor. And finally, on the Daily Times, we have FCMB REA launch 100 billion naira loan push to power 2 million homes. That is on page 13. And now to the Guardian newspaper. We have ECOWAS bio to champion democracy, security, regional reform. APC silent as PDP dismisses formation of ADA. Lamido differs with Inyam over Tinubu's role in June 12 annulment. Israel-Iran war, hope for Nigeria's troubled fiscal outlook as oil prices head to $80. That is on page 6. Sanwo-Olu to meet APC stakeholders ahead of LG polls. Cloud bursts. Ogun government urges calm as lightning kills 32 cows. Obi Atiku decry rising insecurity as Tinubu northern governors condemn killings. Insecurity escalates in Yenagoa. Judge abducted, man confesses to killing toddler. That is on the Metro page 12. Nigeria losing $500 million yearly to abandon containers at ports, Serek warns. Alright, and that is it on the Guardian newspaper. And moving on to The Nation. Alright, looks like we do not have any headlines on The Nation newspaper this morning. So we'll be moving over to The Punch. And on The Punch, we have pastoral crisis. 11 states embrace FG ranching plan as killings surge. Governors offer lands. Adamawa, Bayelsa, others cautious. Farmers reject open grazing. Israel-Iran, petrol may hit 1,000 naira per litre as oil price soars. That is on the Punch newspaper. And finally, on the Nigerian Tribune, we have Senate begins nationwide public hearings on Constitution review. 2027 controversy trails application to register ADA. No decision yet on party adoption. Atiku. ADC national chairman disowns ADA. Says coalition's platform may be unveiled this week. All these you can find on page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. And that is it for our newspaper headlines this morning. And now moving over to our review, we have in the studio, as always, Chris Maduka. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Uche.
How are you this morning? Welcome to the new week.
I'm going to be better by grace of God, and I wish all of our numerous viewers same.
Yes.
Welcome to Signature TV.
Now to our headlines this morning. We have insecurity. Tinubu orders action on insurgents, plateau killings. And we have other killings, death toll hits 13 as survivors narrate ordeal. A lot of killings on the headlines this morning.
And we're looking at which newspaper is that?
Well, we're looking at the Vanguard, and it's also on the Daily Trust as well.
Okay, so everywhere I can
Yes.
see. Insecurity. Tinubu orders action on insurgents and plateau killing. It did not sound like it's something new. I found these are. I don't want to feel that our dear president is sounding like a broken record. He's not just alone on that. Everybody in Nigeria is saying the same. Action. Go fish them out. After a few days ago in Benue, in Makurdi precisely, the president had all the stakeholders in a house, in a room, big room. The CDS, the IGP, they were all there, and he was calling them by name. Go and bring them out, show me arrests. And almost a week after, just about 5 days, precisely 4 days, that the president visited Benue, Makurdi, for instance, and ordered that the people who committed that mayhem be arrested. We hear that some arrests has been made. That's a step forward. So meaning that this Tinubu's action, ordering of action on insurgents is yielding result. But what happened is that we feel that there are certain places things will happen, actions will be faster. People were heading for a wedding, 12 of them in Plateau, and they were killed by armed youth. And an action is ordered immediately. Something happened in Benue, Yewata. The president had to come. And then I were asking for the arrest. I don't think this kind of order was issued for wherever the president is, even before he reached there. When things like this happened in Uromi, there were serious orders coming from everywhere and a lot of condemnation, and all the big people spoke quickly on one issue. It's beginning to, ring a bell, and some people have said that it's like if this insecurity happens certain places and involves certain group of people, action is expedient. I don't want to believe that our securities are working, because it could be anybody's turn. This devil that has been, before Nigeria is something that we should want to be very open and transparent in the way we handle it. If we begin to paint it with tribalism, religion, sentiment, politics, then that means is going to deal with Nigeria for a very long time. Objectivity on this issue, because nobody's life is worth more than anyone in a country like Nigeria, which is a secular state, a democratic republic. So the people at the top, in all their statements and actions, they shouldn't give room for people to believe, if it happened here, it will take time before reactions come, before such expedient action is ordered, and then even results will be delayed and sometimes be, dissolved into the whole, dissolved into thin air. Nothing will come out of it. I don't want Nigerians, I don't want our people, because it will become another weapon of the devil to destabilize already a country that is bedeviled and is on the verge of either implosion or explosion. May God help us.
May God help.
And grant our leaders wisdom and grace and even strength, because I'm sure even as we talk, it's not easy for any of them. But then we are saying, if they ask us, who do we ask? We have, beyond God, the leaders of Nigeria in established authorities are the next hope. We're expecting them. What did they say? If anything happened in Nigeria, everybody will want to know, what did the president say? What did the president say? Because whatever he says carries more weight than what I say. And we are not wrong if we put such trust in him.
All right, and we have Inec can't stop our 100th Nec meeting, PDP.
Well, it becomes the word of PDP against Inec. Inec, as we know, have new office. I think even the president commissioned a new edifice. They have an office, they have structure, they have a chairman, and you can identify the chairman. You know, before you call the chairman's name or the Inec chairman's name, you have to breathe 10 times before you call the Professor Mahmoud or Dr. Mahmoud. I don't know what he is, but I know some of those appellations are attached to his name. And then, as we are trying to forget his name keep cropping up, because anytime you call Inec, Mahmoud resurfaces. I know that Inec has more structure in place than the PDP as we spoke now. Yeah? As we are talking now, PDP Grand Rent, the old FCT, is threatening their office. And even leave the office, they have, their headquarters is threatened for revocation. Their party structure is already destabilized. They are in court for so many reasons. They are delaying to meet. Their National Working Committee will speak here. One member of the National Working Committee will leave the meeting, go somewhere, speak. They want to recognize Anyanwu. Some want to recognize another person. So, and you know Anyanwu is sun in Igbo land. So some want to recognize the sun, some want to recognize the moon, some want to recognize the star. So PDP is totally confused. I don't know how their word against INEC will stand. Because if all the chips are down, INEC said you cannot hold your 100 National Working Committee or National Executive or whatever meeting you want to hold. And they say they must hold it and INEC won't stop. So I don't know how we're going to handle that, because they still expect INEC to recognize some of the things they do. If they hold such meeting and INEC said we are not aware, they go back to court. So it becomes double wahala for dead body. So they better not act like a man who is already destined to be burnt to death, and he'll go bathing himself with petrol. That's if he can afford it, because there are so many other inflammables that are cheaper. So now, if they do that and they go back to court, it means they are going closer to what people say they will. PDP now the church they call no qualify. That some people have said this party is going to fall, and they find them in every process they take, they are falling. Every process they're falling. Probably they bend on their knee. The next thing on flat, small time they sit down on the ground, and the next thing is they lie down. And the next thing they say, there's no breath in them again. Let it not be. Nobody will wish a strong party like PDP such thing. But if PDP, in their wisdom, wish themselves to go, goodbye. That's all we can tell them. Because you can't stop a person who is beaten not to cry.
All right. And we have Group 4's Gowon's account of 1967 Aburi Accord failure.
These are all medicine after death. If there's anything that happened out of the errors of commission or omission, of action or inaction, that Gowon has done at that time, it's all gone with the history. We're only here to live by the consequences. After all, the good or the bad that he may do, they live after them, even before them, or some interred with their bone. What are we saying? This is not time to bring this up. It's totally irrelevant. You can't cry over spilled milk. Nigerians have seen, these are some of the things that some people sat over Nigeria saw over 50-something years ago, 60 years ago, 63 years, or whatever number of years that is. And then we are looking at Nigeria from the foundation and say, this is the best way for us to go. And some people, the same selfishness that's making people not to take objective and radical decisions that will favor Nigeria now and leave it for the generation yet to come. If that's the same thing these people are saying again, it's already there. We are suffering it. There's nothing can be done. You can't go back to Aburi. But what are they talking about? Aburi, they left the substance and pursued the shadow. What happened to the national conference that good luck, Jonathan? They spend our money to spend how many days? About 14 days in Abuja. All the big men in Nigeria gathered one place, representing all the sections. Sat down, did a conference to decide how we move further. Where is that one? Whose fault? We just want to be going back on irrelevancies. Whatever action, Gowon has played his role He's only there as a senior citizen. Can they allow him to retire in peace? And whatever action he has never claimed is an angel, the people who are still even in position this day are still making some errors. Because nobody recognizes that are angels. They will make right. We're only praying to them for God, wisdom, guidance, and strength, knowledge, that they will make more positive decisions than their wrong ones. Because there will always be. So going back on whatever go on did in Abuja or didn't do, is just to trump up forgotten. You're going to open a new old wound, and the doctors say old wounds don't heal like that when you go back and open them. So let's allow that wound either gradually be healed like that, or whatever mistakes that God will make, hold that upon the present leadership. Let the mistakes of Gowon, if you think he has made mistakes, be the inspiration of the present regime. What is that? Leave the old man to rest in peace. And that's it. People who are in the position of authority are still making mistakes. Nobody is holding them to, nobody is telling truth to authority. And we are going back to old man who has made mistakes so many years. And people are still gathering in Abuja making mistakes. Let this group go and tell the National Assembly what decisions they could do to right the wrongs going on in Nigeria. Instead of sitting down there, only want to defend themselves when people say they are appendage to the government, to Asorok. So,
All
that's
right.
my...
Now, there is an interesting headline still on the Daily Times concerning ethical storms around surrogacy and women's bodies. Something about buying babies and the likes.
It becomes, bring back that issue of, when you bring back the issue of abortion, the egg and the chicken, which one? Some women, as we are talking now, some women, if they are not in their boyfriend's house, they are in the hotel rooms, dancing alabanco. Some, when they finish dancing alabanco, they will go and take abortion pills. And such things, they know it has every pill that you use to cure one sickness might cause danger either in the long run or in the short run. The medical people told us that. Every orthodox, even unorthodox medicine, have the good and the bad, the ugly of it. So when some of those things, we are not judging conscience. We are saying, like, some of those things will happen. At the time they are in their husband's house and need babies, they can't find babies. The Pentecostal churches will be booming of where people will be kabashing, looking for babies, when they know where the babies are. And then when these things happen, they will now go back, look for innocent young women. Because of poverty, they give you money to carry their child for them and deliver the child and then hand over to them for money. That's another one. The appropriate thing that people say, there is even an official way you can go to motherless babies home, adopt children. In Nigeria today, to tell you that this issue of infertility and the issues that are associated with it is also high. If you apply in the motherless babies to adopt a baby, you can wait for 7 years. Corruption has gone into it. Who no man has gone into it. Then the child factory and the complex nature of it has gone into it. So when you're talking about this surrogacy, then what other evil other people have committed? The bad apples have spoiled the other lots. That's why it becomes the issue of how do you balance it. There are people who genuinely need to adopt babies or want to. But this surrogacy thing, if you go to motherless babies and find children that are either dumped or done, and they would follow the process to adopt them, that sounds better for us than this surrogacy thing. Because this surrogacy thing will lead to a lot of issues of moral. And every human being has the tendency to be fantastically corrupt. So it's something that everybody will have to, but every generation climb, people will find what is good for them. If Nigeria think at this time the surrogacy, how are they going to? Because most beautiful rules that were set up in Nigeria have been diluted by evil and the selfish and greed people. And so it's whatever is the bug that's biting Nigeria, not making us to be stable in so many things, is also affecting this buying babies, the ethical story, storms around surrogacy and women bodies. But the women have their bodies. Young girls are now selling their eggs to buy Android and Galaxy whatever phones they want. There's nothing we have not had. There's nothing Mohammed ever see forget to. Sorry, being in the gate is not. There's nothing Chibuzo like me I've not seen in the sitting down here reviewing newspaper. We have had the issue of girls selling the eggs, and the people have the same group have noticed those gaps, and they storm secondary schools, storm universities, coerce these girls to go and donate eggs for whatever IT, they're those one they call it IT, whatever they go insertion of whatever, and Nigerians are fantastically, I don't know how to describe us and what things we believe. This is in Nigeria where you hear in 2025 of ritual killings, kidnapping, organ harvesting, so many issues, and especially ritual killings, and people say Yahoo, so a lot of issues, that concussion, is a why, is a dibia, is a this, is a that. This only Nigeria hear that. You don't hear that outside Nigeria. So you see these issues are cropping up, and it's like Nigeria want to fulfill the book. Because God will apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah when it comes to judging Nigeria. It might be my word against yours, Uche. This is why you're laughing. Okay.
So we have APC silent as PDP dismisses formation of ADA.
Why would they be silent? Who talked when APC was formed? Must APC say everything against? Unless APC says, now we want to decide how Nigerians will breathe. Why is every do like this? APC do that? Because they are just there. They are not spoilers. APC is the central party in Nigeria. They are ruling, and they have incumbent president there. They have so many states. When they allow some people to breathe, must everybody be in APC? So they shouldn't talk. They shouldn't. There's formation of ADA, PDP, whatever it is. Most people in PDP that are begrudged were the people who helped APC win. So it has to happen like that. These politicians have a way of offending themselves. They pursue it for what. So you can't beat a child and say you shouldn't cry. So why should APC talk? It should remain silent. Let it watch. It's the only thing they should watch. Why they're still making halls from the PDP. They are making good halls from PDP. So why should two of them or any of them talk?
Yeah, but there are other controversies, like on the Tribune, we have controversy trails application to register ADA. Article says no decision yet on party adoption. ADC national chairman disowns ADA, says coalition platforms may be unveiled this week.
When they unveil their platform, ADA is a party. Nobody said that all of them are going in there. SDP is a party, PDP is a APC, is APUGA. All these parties still exist, and they are registered in Nigeria. The formation, after all, how did APC emerge? You have CDC, you have AD, you have all ADs, parties that came together to form APC. Now, whatever platform they want to, these are formation of ADA, and people are just making noise already about it. Let ADA be formed. They form ADA in Igbo land. The ADA means Ada. Now, if I want to form OBI as a party, Organization of Begrudged Indigenous Party of Nigeria, OBI, I go and form it. Then when you join OB, Ada, APUGA, APC, if I become we choose our platform where we come together. So there's nothing there to review. Leave these politicians. They're working our mind. I think Nigerian politicians are mind benders. This one we said is just to keep us busy. And there's been enough over time to keep us busy, because you see us every morning here. We're talking about what politicians say, and we're shouting, and they become emotional about it. Over time, I find out that we don't need to be emotional over whatever politicians are saying in Nigeria, because if you take their word to the bank, the banks will sue you for due check.
All right, and we have on Israel-Iran war, hope for Nigeria's troubled fiscal outlook as oil prices head to $80.
There have been so many wars over time, and Nigerian oil money has moved up. but it has not trickled down on our lives. We only hear, hey, oil is rising. How much? There was a time we say we saved so much money. It was during Babangida. You see, they saved so much money for one thing that happened in global oil market like that. After a very long time, everything faded into history. Nobody heard what was done. Some people say they shared it among there were a lot of how they shared the money to states. Some people were urging Babangida then to bring out money, share the money. The money was shared and chopped. Now, this has happened again. I'm looking at, not even looking at the $80 of oil. It might get to $200 per barrel. We still, until the Nigerian establishment become more accountable to issues like this. That's when this thing happened. We say, hey, maybe this will favor us, because another man's meat becomes another man's poison in every situation. So until we see how it trickles down. After all, the other day they tell you that oil, the fuel might say 1,000 naira as oil. So you don't know confusion in this oil and gas. If oil and gas is getting, we're selling $80, we expect that it should trickle down here. So we make such money even to come to the local market to increase. And I told them, somebody who is down near needs near no fall. We don't fear any fall again. You guys sold oil, petrol in Nigeria for over 1,000 naira. So if you come and tell us, you guys have not want to leave 1,000 naira. It's like 1,000 naira is your life and blood. All of you in oil and gas. You don't want to come down to 500 naira. What did the 500 naira do to you? The Nigerians said that if you sell fuel at 1,000 or 500 naira, that won't buy. Why are you guys so bent? Hell-bent on that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Maduka, for your
That's much you can say today.
Yes.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.